In this video, we're going to create a simple project manager. First thing we're going to do is click the new button. We're going to create a new project. I want to call it project manager. And since it's going to be a new one, we're going to click the new button on file location. And we'll put in the name of the file, project manager. And this is just for organization. If you want to organize your projects into different categories, let's click OK, and the project will open. The name of our software, we'll call it Cool Project Manager, if I can type. I like to increase the font size a little bit, and I usually switch it to this one, and we'll change the software skin to this. We could add our icon and splash screen, and that's what you're going to want to do when you actually build the setup and ready to sell the software. But in this demo, we're just going to go over the actual design aspect. And let's click the designer, and since this is a new project, there's nothing on our designer. And what we're going to do is we're going to want to be able to track multiple projects. So we're going to drag a grid form onto the designer, and we're going to call it project form, and we'll call it project, and we'll just click a image here and click OK. So we have a project form, and what we're going to do is add a project name field onto that form. So we're going to click the plus sign here, or you can click the properties, you can click the add right there. We'll click that, and we're going to call it property name, and we'll just type in name for caption, and this will be the default. And we're going to select, we just double click on the editor type to bring up the type of editors we can choose from, and we're just going to be a text field, and click OK. So if we were to save this and run it, we will get a project form on the left navigation. Okay, here's our project. So all of our project names, here's the project name right here. So a list of all of our projects will show up here. We can click new, we can type in a name, and then click save, and it'll show up in the list. Well, this isn't really managing any tasks. So for the tasks, we're going to add a schedule form, which is a schedule representation of tasks. But the nice thing about the schedule form is it also has a timeline that we can use for the project manager. So we'll go back to the designer, and we'll bring over the schedule form, and we'll call it project tasks form, and we'll just type in tasks for the caption, and you can choose any image you want, including custom images. Click OK. Now we don't need to add any more property editors to this, because this comes pre-installed with certain editors for the scheduler, but you could add your own, and we'll do that in a little bit. First, let's run it and see what we have here. So now we got the project here that we created just a little while ago, and the tasks, which is the schedule form that we just created. So this is like a schedule form right here. We can change it to a timeline for a more project manager type of user interface. But what we want to do is we want to be able to track the project name with tasks. So we need to relate these things to each other somehow. And so let's close that up. Click on the designer here, and then we'll go to relationships. Now relationships are a way to basically relate two forms to each other, so we can open up the project form and see all the tasks for that project. So a couple questions you want to ask yourself is, can a project have one or more tasks? If it can, then we use the one-to-many. One project can have multiple project tasks. Now, if one project can only have one task, which isn't likely the scenario, but let's just say that if a project could only have one project task, we would use a one-to-one. Now, if one project could have multiple tasks, and a project task could be in multiple projects, you would use the many-to-many. But in this scenario, we're only going to have one project that will have a lot of different tasks, and each task will only have one project. So we're going to click the one-to-many, and we're going to put it over the project form and click the button and drag it over to project tasks. Okay, now what we did was we related those two projects together. So let's make sure it's saved and click run, and we'll see what happens there. So it looks almost the same as what we had before. We have a project, we have tasks here, but when we click on the new for project, we'll see that we have tasks associated with this project. So we could change that to time view by right clicking, and you can enter in your tasks. This is all that was pre-built in to the schedule form. And we can right click, click customize. We don't need the project form on there, so we'll take that out and we'll click delete on that. So you can change these, you can change the user interface up by customizing it. Okay, we don't want to save that. So now we have a project and its project tasks. Let's say we don't really want the user to be able to get to the tasks through the navigation. We want them to be able to go through the project, which makes sense. So let's go back to the designer, select the project task form, we'll click edit, and we'll just delete the navigation. That means it won't show up on the navigation now. So if we were to save that and run it now, we don't have the tasks on the navigation anymore. So in order to get to the project task, you have to go through the projects. And there's your, and we can change this up. Okay, now what we can also do is we can add different fields to this task window. This comes pre-built, but we can add some more fields. We can add like maybe a note area, or maybe a section where we could assign contacts, like if we have web designers or SEO companies, we can create a section to keep track of their contact details and assign them different tasks. Okay, let's close that up and close this So if we want to be able to add like a contact list that we can attach to our tasks, we can drag the grid form over, and we can freelancer form. You can name it anything you want. I'm just kind of going by the seat of my pants here, and we'll click a cool image for people, and what we'll do is add like a name, contact name, and we'll make that contact name the default. Usually the default matters when you have the relationships. And what we'll do, we're going to make this, we're not going to get too elaborate, but what we're going to do is we're going to use a combo box editor, and we'll do a contact type field to show you how to use that. Contact type. Now, combo box editor is a drop-down list with items that you can select. So what we need to do in order to add, we add the combo box editor, now we need to add the items. So we click on the property, click on the items, and then we can add the different types of items. Copywriter, and you can continue to add more and more as you go. Okay, now let's run this real quick and see what we got. So we got freelancer here, and we got projects here. So if we clicked new, we can see that we have the contact name. You can add more stuff like phone number, stuff like that, but in this demo we're trying to keep it short. And the combo box editor, where you can select the type of contact that person is. But what we want to do is we want to relate that freelancer to the different types of tasks. We want to be able to assign that freelancer to those tasks. So let's close that up, and we're going to go back to the designer. Let's move those over. And what we want to do is use our relationships in order to relate those two forms together. Now, one task can only be assigned to one freelancer. Or can one task be assigned to many freelancers? So you need to ask yourself that, the relationship between project task form and freelance form. And then you need to reverse that and ask, can one freelancer be assigned to many tasks? Which would be yes. You could hire the freelancer to do many different types of tasks. Like if you have 5 websites going right now and you have one web designer that does most of them, they could be working on all 5 sites. So this will be one freelancer to many project tasks. That'd be a one-to-many form or relationship, and we'll drag that over. And now let's run it and see what we have. Okay, it looks the same, but now if we click on freelancer, click new, and we got a scheduler here, and this will have all the tasks associated to this contact. Okay, everything looks good. We can see what this contact is supposed to be doing by opening up the record for that contact. And if we go to project, this looks the same, but if we click on the event, that looks the same as well. But if we right click and customize, there's some fields here that are not added to the form, and the one is a freelancer form. That's the one we just added. So we could drag that over onto the form. Oh, let's customize this, and then we can rename this to assign to. Okay, so now if we drop this down, we click on a new contact, type in the name, and let's say web designer. Click OK. So now we assign this task to Thomas Belknap, who's a web designer, and we give him to the 27th to do this task, which is pretty generous. And we can click on business, location, status, whatever. Subject, web design, web relaunch, and click OK. So now we can even change that. So we got the web relaunch right here. We'll save that. And if we go back to Freelancer, we'll see the web relaunch right here as well. So we see that Thomas Belknap was assigned this particular task, and any tasks that were created that is not assigned to Thomas Belknap will not show up in here, and that's where your relationships between forms are really important.